You sending me shit. Cause I know you watching my live. I know you watching the live because you steadily sending me inboxes, bro. Like, it's cool, bro. I'm not, don't, cause you gonna make me say your name, fam. You gonna make me say your name, bro. Like, don't, stop inboxing me. For real, don't do that.
In the world of forbidden love, betrayal is not a distant threat. It's always there, lingering in the background, lurking like a shadow behind every whispered promise and every stolen kiss. Secrets don't just exist, they grow, mutate, and eventually explode. This isn't just another story about infidelity. It's a chilling reminder of how fragile trust can be, of how quickly love can turn to fear, and how sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It buries you. For years, she had lived in the margins of someone else's life. She didn't wear a wedding ring. She didn't have a place at the family table during holidays. There were no photos of them together, no public acknowledgments of their love. She was the secret. The late-night phone calls filled with hurried affection, the half-promises, soon, I'll leave her. The vacations that ended before sunrise. She told herself it was worth it, that patience would be rewarded, that the man she loved would eventually be hers, fully, publicly, proudly. But love built on stolen time is always an unstable foundation. And no matter how carefully she walked the tightrope, one slip was inevitable. Maybe it was loneliness that finally broke her. Maybe it was jealousy. Maybe it was the simple human desire not to be a secret anymore. Whatever the reason, after years of waiting, she made her decision. She was going to reveal everything. She wasn't just walking away. She was tearing down the double life he had built so carefully around her. Armed with undeniable evidence, texts, voicemails, photos, she reached out, not just to him, but to his wife, to his family, to his colleagues. The man who once promised her the world watched, helpless as that world began to crumble. For a man whose life depended on control of his image, his narrative, his secrets, this was a nightmare without an escape. He begged her to take it back, offered money, apologies, promises he no longer believed himself. But it was too late. She was tired of hiding, tired of being an afterthought. For the first time in years, she wasn't asking permission. She was demanding to be seen. And he knew, if she wouldn't be silenced, there was only one way to stop her. The final meeting was supposed to be closure, a conversation to find peace, or at least some version of it. She chose the location, a quiet public park near the edge of the city. Open, airy, safe, or so she thought. She arrived early, wearing a simple dress, makeup done carefully. There was hope in her eyes that maybe even now the man she loved would choose her openly. The days following the revelation were chaos. Friends turned cold. Business associates distanced themselves. Family members demanded explanations. What she didn't know was that in his mind, the decision had already been made. And it wasn't about love. It was about survival. Witnesses recall seeing them together. A man and a woman seated at a bench, their body language tense but restrained. At first, it was just sharp words, low enough not to attract attention. But then voices rose, hands gestured violently, the mask of calm shattered. And in a flash, so quick that some thought at first it was a cruel prank, he pulled the gun. One cold, echoing shot tore through the quiet evening air. Birds scattered from the trees. Children playing nearby froze in horror. The woman who had once trusted him above all else crumpled to the ground, life leaving her in a rush. Witnesses said she never even screamed. It happened too fast. Panic swept the park. Someone called 911. Strangers tried to help, pressing trembling hands against her wound, whispering desperate prayers. But there was nothing they could do. The light had already gone from her eyes. And the man she loved, simply stood there, silent, breathing heavily, as if he couldn't quite believe what he had done. But he had done it. When police arrived, there was no chase. No resistance. He surrendered quietly, almost numbly, as if surrendering was the only thing left he knew how to do. The evidence was overwhelming. Witnesses, the weapon, the motive already blasted across social media in the form of the very messages she had exposed days earlier. By morning, the news cycle had devoured the story. Another senseless killing. Another life lost to rage. Another cautionary tale whispered between friends behind closed doors. But for her family, there was no caution, only grief. The funeral was small but devastating. Friends and family gathered to mourn not just the life lost, but the dreams that would never be realized. The birthdays missed, the weddings she would never attend, the children she would never have. In her eulogy, a close friend described her not as a victim, but as a fighter. Someone who refused to live in silence any longer. Someone who demanded to be loved out loud and paid the ultimate price for it. The trial that followed was brutal but swift. The defense tried to spin a story of temporary insanity. A man pushed beyond his limits by shame and fear. But the prosecution painted a clearer, harsher picture. A man who believed that his reputation was worth more than a woman's life. A man who made a choice, and a woman who never saw it coming. When the guilty verdict was read, he showed no emotion. Perhaps he finally understood that no defense could justify what he had done. Perhaps he realized that he had lost far more than his freedom. He had lost any chance at redemption. In the years since her death, her story has not faded. It lives on in whispered warnings passed between friends, in news specials and crime documentaries, in social media threads about the dangers of loving someone who refuses to love you openly. Her name has become a symbol, not just of a life taken too soon, but of a dream stolen. The dream of being loved fully, fiercely, without shame or secrecy. When people visit the small memorial placed at the site where she died, they leave behind more than flowers. They leave behind promises. Promises to speak their truth. Promises to demand better. Promises to never settle for love that hides in the shadows. And maybe, in that small way, she wins. Because while the man who killed her will be remembered only for the horror he caused, she will be remembered for her courage. The courage to step out of the shadows. The courage to demand the light, even if the world wasn't ready to give it to her. Because in the end, secrets are heavy. They crush, they suffocate. And sometimes when the truth finally breaks free, it doesn't just crack the facade, it shatters everything. She deserved more. She deserved to be chosen. She deserved to be loved boldly, proudly, without hesitation. Instead, she became a story. But not just a story of tragedy, a story of bravery. A reminder that even when the worst happens, the truth matters. That love, real love, doesn't hide behind lies. It walks in the open. And in her final heartbreaking act, she made sure the world would know that. No more secrets, no more shadows, only the devastating, undeniable power of the truth.
Sit here and do all this. I ain't nobody, ain't nobody getting this. You got to be doing this for me and that for me, and I'm focused on my money. I don't got time for no bullshit. We women, it's scientifically proven that we hornier than we think about more than. Don't do that, cause now you making me mad, bro. Oh God, like that shit is uncaused for. Like what? Like I can talk about what the I want to talk about. This is my page. This is my life.